get out. It's over. I can't believe you done that to me. I thought you was my husband. I trusted you. I loved you. I gave you my all. Please don't. No. You can go. I'm filing for a divorce. I do not want to be with you anymore. There's no need for this conversation again. You did this. I tried. It's over. You can go. How many of us go through this scenario over and over again? How many of us been through this scenario too many times in our relationships? A divorce scenario, an argument, a disagreement that ends up in a divorce. We don't take the time to understand the other person. We just use that back door. A divorce. That word is heard over and over again in many relationships. I want you to take time right now. We're going to pause for a few seconds. And we're going to think about the relationships we have been in. How many ended up in separations, in divorce? That word been used? Think about it. We get married just to have a back door. A back door out of a relationship. That word divorce. Irreconcilable differences because of a disagreement. With that word divorce comes pain. It comes as a failure point in our life. Once we began to go through these relationship issues, as I'm going to say, in our life, it is a part of a relationship that brings pain, and pain comes from any facet of our life. It could be through a broken relationship, through death, through a skinned knee. Pain is pain, and it hurts. It hurts. But I'm here to talk about relationships. I'm here to go over divorce, being remarried, and restarting. I'm here to bring awareness to this issue that's in America. It's probably across the world, but I'm going to go with America because that's where I'm from and that's where I live. And that's where I see that we need help at, especially in marriages and in relationships. This thing called divorce is definitely a backdoor in any relationship. And it brings each and every one of us pain. It brings us to a point of a failure, that we feel like a failure. How many of us like to fail? I gather nobody. How many of us feel like a failure at some point in a relationship when we're going through and that other person walks out or we decide we want a divorce? Quite a few hands going up. Marriage is a big deal. Sometimes we take it like it's casual, but it's not. It's not. We take vows for each other. We say in sickness and in health, through good and bad, through worse or the worst. We take vows to each other, to be there for each other, to be friends with each other, to go through with each other, to survive with each other, to take care of each other. And we say these vows to each other, and not only to each other, but also unto God. And we decide we don't want to do it anymore. We quit, we give up. And it brings pain and it brings failure in our life. Today, I want to go over some things that's going to help us in this area of our life. I want to point out some areas across America, like I said, that is very key and very predominant about the talk that I'm going to give you today. Because we're going to use a word, we're going to use build as our acronym today, and it's going to help us in our relationship. At least it helped me. So you can go ahead and write that word build down. I want you to keep it in your notebook. Keep it somewhere sacred, because as I go over this, we're going to use that word build, and we're going to grow, and we're going to expound on that word to help us in the areas that we need help, to bring recognition to some areas that we can use in our life or in our relationship to help each other and to help others, which is our spouse and our children that's in the relationship with us. Before I get started, I want to give stats about what's going on in relationship across America. With these stats, I want you guys to write them down, because I want you guys to see the number and how dominant it is across America of what's taking place in relationships. Write these numbers down. And every time you feel like using that back door that should be closed, I want you to think about persevering through it and being in a relationship that is gonna be able to go through the test of times and be able to stand in front of your children, leaving a legacy that they can stand upon. My mom and dad was married for 50 years or 100 years until they died. They needed each other. They leaned on each other. Because once you hear these numbers, these staggering numbers, you're going to be trembling as I was. Do you know that every 13 seconds in America, there is a divorce taking place? That is 277 divorces per hour. That is 6,646 divorces per day. That is 465,232 divorces per week. I hope that y'all are writing these numbers down. With that per week, that is 2,419,196 divorces per year. Wow. Wow. I don't want y'all to get discouraged, because with these stats, people are still getting married. They're still getting married. There is still hope. Over 2 million people are getting married each year. Yes, that is a 500,000 drop from the peak that was getting married, but it's still hope out there. There's still hope. I'm giving you the stats at the beginning because I want you guys to think about what we're going to go over and how we as married couples and how we as people that as going through a divorce and being remarried and restarting all over again, how we can get these numbers less than what they are and we can hold on. That's why I'm giving you stats at the beginning. That's why I'm telling you to write them down. Be aware of what's going on around you. Because sometimes we don't take advantage of what we have. We don't lean on our partners enough to say we can do this. We can make this work. Out of these married couples that is over the 2 million married couples is getting married, over 113.6 million of those are step families. And out of that 113.6 million, 15% of those or first-time marriages. That means that they're getting married with children already involved. That means they're the first time getting married, but they already have children. Still a big number. Still a big number. Out of these people, that the 60 to 15% and the 113.6 million that's getting married with step families, 60 to 70% of those marriages fail. What causes the divorce? We can't just blame it on the children. There's financial reasons, there's infidelity, there's a lack of commitment, there's a lack of dedication. There's just a lot of things that go into a marriage that causes a divorce to take place. I want y'all to think about this before we begin to go into what we can do to prevent another divorce, especially in our life. With those stats and with what we already went over, I want y'all to think about how we're going to build our relationship better. That's that word I told you to write down. I have words to go with the word build. And we're going to go over that one at a time. We're going to go over this word letter at a time. And I want you to write each word down, each sentence down that we go over. Because I want you to be able to have something to reflect back on when you feel like using that back door called divorce. When you feel like you want to give up. When you feel like I have a way out of this relationship, I don't want to be committed anymore. I want you to have something that in your notes or in your back pocket that you can say, I can do this. So that's why I'm asking you to take notes. The first letter in the word build is B. And the B means believe. I want you to believe in yourself and believe in your spouse. Believe in your marriage. Believe in your relationship. Believe that it can work. So many times we go in a marriage knowing about the back door and we don't have the belief system that this is going to work long term. We just want to do it because we see it on TV. It looks fancy. It looks easy. But marriage requires work. It is a work in progress. It's something to build upon. It's just like a job. It's work. But if you believe in it, and if it's something that you want to do, you will persevere through it. You will work at it. You will say, I can do this. You got to believe that your spouse want to be there, and you got to believe and know that you want to be there as well. Don't give up. Persevere. Believe that this is where you're supposed to be. Believe that this person was made and created just for you. You got to believe it with that everything within inside of you, that this is where you're supposed to be at the very moment. And this is the person that you're supposed to be married to. If it was not the person, guess what? You would not have married them in the first place. You just feel like there's a back door and I can quit at any time. I married them because they asked me. How many times have we went in a relationship because of that? I was speaking with my daughter the other day before I moved to the next letter, and she was telling me, because she was seeing a movie on TV, and she's 16, no, don't get me wrong, she's 16, and she said, Mom, I don't want anybody to propose to me publicly in front of a lot of people. She said, because that put pressure on me to say yes. And what if I don't really like that person? What if I know they're not the person for me and I'm just spending time with them? How many of us fall into that category or feel trapped? That you knew that that was not the person for you, but you went along with it. We mosey along because we don't want to be by ourselves. We go along with the relationship for 2 and 3 years, hate to tell the person you're not the person for me, and you drag them along and they're falling in love with you, or they don't fell in love with you and they feel that you're the one and you don't feel the same way. It is a virtue to be honest with people and say, you're not the one for me. I'm sorry. Don't drag them along for 2 or 3 years, and when it comes time to proposal You said yes and you're not happy. You don't really want to be there. How many times for a 16-year-old to say that, it just brings things to a shattering halt in our life. The reason I say that is because we're talking about divorce, remarried, and restarting, getting it right the next time. It shouldn't be a next time if we do it right the first time. And she's talking about this at age 16. At age 16. I'm not just telling you something that I have not been through. You'll get a little bit of background about me as this presentation go on, about a little bit of background about my life. But I want you to believe in the relationship that you're in. I want you to believe in your spouse. Believe that you're supposed to be together. Put your every effort of your every fiber and every effort into this relationship. The next letter in build is you. You got to be unified. You got to be one unit, unified. And I'm not just talking about you and your spouse. I'm also talking about your children, that blended family, or the children that you had with your spouse, if this is your only marriage and you want to stop the divorce that's getting ready to take place because they trying to use that back door out. You got to become one unit. You got to unify. You have to communicate to become unified. This is a big deal. This is a big deal because there's so many relationships out there that it is not unified enough. And one spouse want to do its own thing. The other spouse want to do its own thing. And the finances is everywhere. One want to take care of this child. The other one want to take care of this child. These are my children if it's a blended family, not yours. And there's no unity there. But you have to become unified. You have to talk about what's going on in the relationship to bring that bridge together. Because if you got a broken bridge, you're going to fall. It's going to crumble. And it's not going to work. How do you want people to travel across a bridge? How do you want people to travel across a bridge if it's going to fall? They are not going to trust it. Just like the relationships you're in. People know when you are being fake. They know when you are false. They know when you're not being authentic. It's just like if I'm up here and I'm talking about something that I don't know anything about. No, I want to give you my true self. So even in a relationship, when you marry someone with children from another relationship, guess what? They know if you are right for them or you're a right fit for the family. Now, some children just don't want their parents to get married again. Now, I'm going to tell you a little bit of background about my relationship. This is my third marriage. I'm going to go ahead and give you a little bit of background. That's my restart, getting it right the next time. Really the third time I'm getting it right. And with that being said, they didn't want me to get married again. They was tired of mommy being in a relationship. Not only is this my third relationship, when I got married to my first husband, I already had a child as well. I'm also part of that 15% stats as well. So with me being a part of that 15% stat and me getting married for the third time, my children had a problem with it. They wanted to fight the man that I was married to, the husband that I'm married to right now today. The man of my dreams, the one that I love with the uttermost part of me. To get this relationship to a solidified ground with a foundation that we're really building upon right now, and that's why my word is build, we had to go through some tests and trials, tribulations, and some times, even with the children, to become unified. Because at the beginning, we was not on one accord. We was not unified. And I always use that backdoor of divorce. I use that word just like it was water falling out of a cup. But he didn't like it. He didn't like that word. He said, I know I'm supposed to be with you. I love you. We didn't just come in this relationship to divorce. I said, it's easy for me. I can walk away. It wasn't because of him. It's because it was something in me that I done been through in my relationships previous that it hurt me so much that I didn't want to trust and confide in another relationship, just like the children didn't want me in it. So I was going to give in to their demands, and I was going to give in because I didn't want another broken heart. And by golly, he was like, no, I just did not say vows with you. to give up on this relationship. Now, I'm not going to tell you that he haven't restarted with me, because he has. And that's his side of the testimony he want to give. But I'm going to tell you this. With our family right now, we are blended and we're unified. We're on one accord. He not only stuck with the test of time, he loved those children past any pain or hurt that they was in previous to the relationship that we became in ourselves. And that was a big deal, because most of the time, like I said, 60 to 70% of marriages involving children from previous relationships fail. And this one was on the verge of failing if I would have just walked away, like most of the time we do. We don't want to put the work in. We want to quit. We want to give up. We don't want to be dedicated or disciplined to the relationship. We want things to become easy or be easy in a relationship because it looks that way on TV. Now, with these stats that I gave you, these was the numbers before COVID-19. Think about the numbers, staggering numbers after COVID-19, where families are in the house. Husbands and wives and children are in the house from school. They're in the house from going to work. They're just in the house together. Oh my goodness. I be coaching so many marriages right now through relationships and through things that they're dealing with, because everybody is in the house together, and because I've been through certain things, certain trials and tribulations, and I'm steady passing tests. I'm using my testimony to help others. But it took what I've been through to be an inspiration to others, and that's my next letter in build, I. And it's called inspire. Inspire. I means inspire. You have to inspire each other in relationships. And that meant keep your children inspired, keep yourself inspired, and keep your spouse inspired. Keep them living with you and looking forward to the next day. Each day is different. It brings new and different challenges. But guess what? If you stay inspired, if you wake up without going to bed angry, if you wake up with a smile on your face, giving God the glory, if you wake up saying this is a new day and we're going to face every challenge head on and face on, things will begin to fall in line. And guess what we do as a married couple and as a blended family? We inspire others through our relationship. We inspire people that come to us with things that's going on and just walking out and holding hands, going on dates. We inspire them. We say, listen, you have to have a date day or a date night. You still have to do these things as if you first met. You have to take the time to love on each other, keep each other inspired, inspire them to pursue their dreams. Don't lose yourself in the relationship, because you was your own individual before you came in the relationship. So you have to inspire each other to still pursue your dreams or their dreams, even the children. Don't push or force your dreams on them. Know that they have dreams of their own. And inspire them to pursue their dreams, to go to college, to play baseball, to play volleyball, even in school. And know that things happen. And let them know that they don't have to fail at relationships. That this can work. You're not the only one that's been through this, a broken heart or mistrust or anything that caused brokenness. But you don't have to mistrust the next person that comes along. Because that's most of the time that happens in relationships, and we do not move forward. We hold that person accountable for what the last person done in our life. We hold the person we married to or in relationship accountable because we had no one else to blame about the pain that they caused us, or the last relationship that the people caused us the pain and the hurt in our life. We have to let it go. We're going to have to learn to forgive and move forward. Because if we don't, the relationship will fail. And here we are again. So The word inspired is major. The next letter in build is L. How many of you know what L means? I know you do. We're going to talk about love. There's two types of love that I'm going to cover, but I'm going to go in depth with one type. The first love I'm going to cover is philos love. That's a feeling. That's a type of feeling. That's an emotional type of love. It's all about how you feel, when the person look, how the hair look, how much they weigh, what they can give you. That's that feeling type of love. If you don't give me this big house, if you don't drive this type of vehicle, if you don't look clean every day, if you don't smell a certain way, guess what? That's that philos type of love. What do that type of love get you besides a divorce? I just wanted to go over that type of love. I'm not going to dwell on that. The type of love I wanted to dwell on is agape love. That's that type of love that in a relationship, you know that person would die for you. That's that agape love that when Jesus died on the cross, he died for us, no matter what. No matter what we done, he said, I love you this much that I would die for you. I would take that sin upon me. And that's the type of love you need to have when you say I do at the altar. When you go into the relationship in a marriage, that's the type of love that you're supposed to have in the relationship with your spouse. That's that type of love, agape love. It's a never-ending love. No matter, you don't love that person because like a philos love. You love that person for who they are, not for what they do for you or what they can give you. You love that person whether they do something for you or not, whether you're living on the street in a wet paper bag. You love them for who they are. And the action in that type of love is the action that you do and the action that you show. Not what they give you and what they do for you, but what you do for them. You go above and beyond to please that person and those children that came in your life. You be the action part of that love. I'm not just talking about men. I'm talking to women and children as well. You show that person through your actions that you love them no matter what. You love them so much that you're not going to give up on them. You love them just that much to say, no matter what, we're not going to use that back door. Just like my husband, Melvin, done for me. He said, I'm not going to give up. I'm not going to quit. You are the person for me. I love you. And I'm not going to quit no matter what the children saying, no matter what they're doing. I love you. It took that type of person to come in my life after what I've been through to stick with me. It took that type of person with that type of discipline to say, you are the one for me. It took that type of love to be a part of my life to say, I'm not going to give up on you. No matter how many times you tell me to get out. You're not going to get me out of this bedroom. We're not going to bed angry. I am ready to die for you. We're going to grow old together. We're going to sit on the front porch and drink tea. We love each other just that much. I want you to think about that before we move to the next letter. Think about that type of love and enjoy it. Think about it. With you thinking about that type of love, how do you feel now, given the action that you're supposed to be the action part of that love? I want y'all to make sure y'all taking copious notes, because this is something that you can use when you feel like using that back door called divorce. Because when you're remarried with a blended family, or you just restarting, or you just starting, things begin to take place. And you saying I do to somebody you really don't like or you really don't love, and you know you will not die for that person is not for you. It took my husband that I'm married to a minute to understand, because I used to ask him that question before we got married. Do you love me? He said, yes. And I said, would you die for me? And he wouldn't answer it right away. It took him a minute, I'm going to say about a year, for him to even understood why I asked him that question. Because I'm not going to tell you he didn't love me, but to die for a person is another type of love. It's that real agape love. And like I gave you at the beginning of love, like Jesus did for us on the cross. Would you give up everything for me? Would you give up your life for me? If I needed a heart and your heart was a match for mine, would you give your life for my life? Or would I give my life for your life? The same way he loved me is how I love him. But when he began to really understand the meaning of that question, he said, yes, I will die for you. And that's when I knew that he loved me just as much as I love him. And I said, we can get married. Yes, I will marry you. Because I didn't want to go into another relationship, another marriage, knowing there was a back door that we was going to walk out of, each and both of us, either one of us, and say, I quit, I give up, due to the fact because that person didn't feel that they could die for me, or I would die for them. I already knew that I would die for him because I knew he was the one for me. With that, the next letter in build is D. You got to be disciplined and dedicated. Disciplined enough to know that you're not going to walk out the back door with the word divorce. Disciplined enough to know that you don't have to have infidelity in the relationship. Disciplined enough to know to handle the finances the way you're supposed to be. Disciplined enough to know that when your spouse and you come to an agreement, that you stick with that agreement and don't behind their back do or say anything else. Because the way you show discipline is the same way that those children that came in, or the children that you're raising as a family, is going to show discipline towards you. They see it, they know it, they understand it. If my mom and dad is not disciplined, why should I be disciplined? And you got to be dedicated. If you're going to be dedicated to something, that means you're going to give your all to it. When we do things, like me and my husband exercise together, and I say, man, how much more, how much longer do I have? He'll say 3 minutes. He said, you can stop if you want to. I said, no, I'm dedicated to this. He said, that's why I love you, because you are not a quitter. You're dedicated to the game. You're dedicated so much. Only 3 minutes left, and you said you're going to push it to the end. The word of God said the race is not given to the swift or the strong, but the one that can endure to the end. The end of a marriage, the end of a relationship, the end is until we leave this earth. Our physical bodies leave the earth. That's the end. That should be end of the relationship once you begin to understand what marriage really is. Well, after you restarted, we're not going to talk about past relationships. Yeah, we're talking about divorces, remarried and restarting. If you restarting, and if you're going through a divorce, guess what? When you restart or you remarry, think about these words. Believe in your spouse, believe in your marriage, believe in unity, unify, inspire, love, the agape type of love, dedicated and disciplined. You think about this and you build this foundation for the relationship, the word build. You build it and you go back and you look at these notes, because you took copious notes, and you think about it. I cannot quit. I will not use that back door called divorce, because this gets hard, or it is hard. You don't use that back door. You begin to build. You begin to inspire each other. You become dedicated and disciplined, and you have the tenacity and the drive to see it through to the end. You do all you can. You will not fail like this. And if something don't go your way, it's called compromise. You have a talk with your spouse or your significant other or your partner, and you compromise. I compromise a lot in a marriage. A lot. It ain't just my way. That's selfish thinking if you only think about yourself in a relationship. It's selfish thinking. I'm not going to tell you can't have one day of selfishness. I try to choose my birthday for that day. I just want to go to the beach. I want to relax. I want to think about me on that day. My husband tell me I can think about me all the time. But I don't want to choose to think about me. I want to think about them and him. I want to think, how can I please him today? What can I do except cook dinner? Can I massage him? Can I buy him a gift? What do he want? Can I tell him how much I appreciate him all the time? Because I do. You have to appreciate your spouse. You have to appreciate him. I'm finished with the word build, but I want to give you a little bit of a testimony about how I met my spouse, since I only have a few minutes left. I want to tell you, it only took me one look. And believe you me, I didn't want to believe that he was created for me, because I already been through some hard times. I've been through abusive relationship. I've been through infidelity. I've been through not just abuse, a shotgun being to my head. I've been through suicidal ideations. I've been through PTSD because I'm a part of the military. I've been through deploying and coming back, and my husband or ex-husband got another woman living in my house taking care of my children. Being TDY, temporary deployed for a year, temporary divorced for a year at TDY, and that's how it feels when you're part of the military. I've been through all of that. But when I seen him, it took me one look to know that he was for me. But I was fighting it. I said, can't be. I already been married 2 other times, and I don't want to feel like this, and I don't want another broken heart. But it took me one look with him, and I knew. I didn't want to give him an inkling that I was interested. So he really went out of his way to get my attention. I ignored him as much as I could. But I used to go to work early. We was in the military, and I'd beat him in the office on purpose. I'll be in the office on purpose, because when he came to me, he was soaking wet. I'm telling you, dripping. He was in the field. He came back from the field with the soldiers, and he saw me. He came in there and spoke. Out of everybody in the office, didn't nobody want to talk to me because I was a military police MP. But he did. He spoke to me. He said, hey, how you doing? He was soaking wet. He putting out his hands. It's trembling a little bit. He said, my name is Sergeant First Class Wilson. He was a military as well. He was an infantryman. And I just looked at him. I said, how you doing? And he said, if you need anything, I'm here for you. I can help you with anything you need. He wasn't just talking about military stuff. But I just looked at him. I'm like, do everybody see him? Do anybody see what I see? But it only took me that one look, and I guess I was feeling the same way he was feeling. Or I knew I was. Because with that one look, something changed in me. It inspired me. So I started coming to work earlier than everybody, because every day he walked by the office and he spoke to me, good morning. He said it with a smile every day. Every day. And I still ignored him every single day. I was like, I would not let nobody else in my life. I was determined to be alone and take care of my children as a single parent. By this time, I had 4 children. 4. By 2 different men. But remember, my first child was previous to a marriage. So my other 2, my first 2, my second 2, was by my first husband, and my 3rd child, which is my 4th, was by my 2nd husband. And he didn't mind. I had 4 children. And this one particular morning, he walked by the office and he was storming by, and he didn't speak. And I was there, and I'm like, oh my God, what's going on with him? What is really going on? And he walked right back by, and he still didn't speak. Now, every morning he normally speaks, so I was getting used to the routine of ignoring him and just watching him work, do his floor work, and he consistently tried to speak to me. And it was funny, but this particular day, he didn't speak, so it had to be something going on. I was already worried about him because I watched him from afar off. I wanted to see how dedicated he was, and would he keep that same drive. So this particular day, when he walked by both ways, I walked outside where everyone was, and he was out there, and he was ranting and raving about how he was being treated. He still didn't know I was amongst the crowd. People were listening to him. the other leaders, the SGLs as we call them, that was getting ready to walk to child. And he was still telling what was really taking place. And I said something. With one word that I said, he turned around and a bright smile came on his face. He said, "Oh my God, you're going to breakfast with us." And it was like a first date for him. And I was going to the chow hall. I'm like, yes, the chow hall, we can eat there for free. Chow hall is where we go have meals in the military. We call it a chow hall. Everybody go eat, from low enlisted soldiers to leaders. Everybody go eat. It is not free for leaders that don't live on post. But if you live on post and you go there and you're just a private, you can go there. You got a meal card. The Army pays for it. I want to give you the acronym of chow hall. That's what we call it. And he said, "I'm going to get you breakfast." And I'm like, "We eat chow for free. It's the chow hall." But to be around him, to see how the high energy that he had me smiling. And he took his time and he spent time with me, sitting even in the chow hall, just to tell me a little bit about his life. He now had my attention. It took him to ignore me for me to pay him some attention, which I was from afar off, but he didn't know. And it was just that one look from the very first day that really got my attention, of how he stood out to me from everybody else. But it was me being cautious in the relationship. And sometimes we go in the relationship cautious. And with him, it was so easy to love him. It was so easy to share my life with him. I began to tell him everything that I've been through. I mean, I left nothing to question. Nothing. From the ups, the downs, the ins, the outs, the divorces, the highs, the lows, the deployments, what hurt me, what don't hurt me. I shared everything I could with him. There was no secrets going into this relationship. So if he wanted to walk away at that moment because I shared so much with him, he could have. But he stood there and he listened to me. He took the time and he listened to what I had to say. He cried with me. He held me while I cried. He was there for me. And sometimes that's what it takes. He became my very best friend when I needed somebody in my life. And still today, he's my very best friend. It's amazing when you marry your very best friend. And sometimes in these marriage days, I let him know, "You're not my friend anymore." And I think that hurts him more than me arguing with him, because he loves being my friend, because we share conversation, we share secrets, we share the most intimate parts of ourselves with each other. We share those things with each other because we love each other and we are friends. Still today, altogether, we have 10 children, blended family. We have 3 of our own children. We have a set of twins, a boy and a girl. Them are our last children we're going to have. And we love each other even more than we did the very first day with that one look. We love each other even more because we use this principle build. We believe in our relationship. We are unified. We inspire each other. We love each other with the agape type of love. And we're disciplined and we're dedicated to each other, to the cause of the marriage, to the cause of the relationship. And I'm asking you to do the same in your relationship. Take the time, if your spouse is here today, if your significant other, your partner, and you look at them and you tell them, "I'm going to use these principles in this relationship, not only with you and me, but with our children. I'm not going to use that back door. I'm not going to walk out. I don't care if we're blended. I'm going to be here." Thank you guys for having me. It was an amazing time being here to share these thoughts with you. And I do pray and hope that they inspire you to the end.